The motor is painted and looks really great. Right now it's just a matter of aligning all the pulleys. So the harmonic balancer, then a crank pulley that goes on here, and we put that on. It doesn't line up with the water pump pulley, and although all of this stuff came as a kit, none of it really works. What Timmy's doing now is making spacers for the alternator bracket. So this is going to be at the depth that it needs to be. The water pump pulley kind of has to go where it goes. The harmonic balancer kind of has to go where it goes. The water pump pulley can't go in far enough to put the crank pulley where it needs to be. So pretty much what we're doing is making a new spacer for the crank pulley to get mounted at the correct depth so it'll line up with the water pump pulley. This is the piece that Oliver cut out. What this piece does is it acts as a spacer for the harmonic balancer. So this acts as a washer for the harmonic balancer bolt, and then also the correct spacing for the crank pulley. So this pulley needs to be at a certain depth, right? This pulley does not sit flush on the harmonic balancer. It has to be spaced out a little bit, which is why we made this. So all this stuff is just media blasted because it's gonna get painted tomorrow. All this stuff has to get painted. I'm amazed that this is a 35 or 40 minute endeavor, start to finish, like from a thought to being a done part. This is what you got to do, you know, to make things work. And it's nice to have the capability to be able to, you know, do things like that. And I know that we could have done it a different way as far as like, you know, shimming, make this spacer or just use like washers or whatever. But this is just like a, I don't know, it looks like something that you would buy. I'm stoked on it. This motor looks beautiful. I Cerakoted these ram horn manifolds and pretty much all good. This is now polished. We kind of just did the fins, Jack polished those out. Distributor's in, carburetor's been on. Obviously all the spacing for the alternator goes there. But all that stuff has been fit, alternator's been on it, and everything works as it should. So now we can paint all that stuff, put it on, and then it's basically done. You know, we have the motor mounts for it, and then it can go in the chassis. I just got finished putting the rear drums together on this rear, so this is all new stuff. I think I spent more money on rebuilding stock drum brakes for a Ford 8-inch than I would have spent if I just bought Willwoods. You know, I mean, the car has Willwoods on the front. It's going to be a full fendered car. I'm cool with having disc brakes on the front of a full fendered car. If it was a, you know, a traditional style hot rod that didn't have fenders on it or whatever, a high boy or whatever you want to call it, I would not put drums or discs on it because I think they're too new looking. Well, they are too new looking, but I have so much time and effort into making these drums work. We could have just bought some discs that would have bolted on in 5 minutes. But either way, the rear is together and in. It's looking good. The residual valves are in for the brakes. So right now the brakes are, well, I just have to put the drums on and it's basically ready to put brake fluid in and bleed the system and actually have, you know, working brakes. The motor then can go in the chassis, the transmission can go in, and we'll have basically a done chassis. At that point, we're gonna get the body. So this car is a 34 Ford. It's a two-door sedan. It's a running car now. It's on another chassis. and it drives around. It was built like in the 80s at some point, and it has like a Ford Pinto motor in it. So the body is painted red. It's pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice. So the idea is we put together this beautiful, new, clean chassis with all new components, new engine, new transmission, whole new brake system. You know, this chassis originally had that independent rear suspension Jaguar rear. This is like a 30-year-old chassis. So we basically like kind of backdated it. But long story short, this is going to be a nice traditional style car or traditional style chassis that's going to work beautiful for this car. So we'll be able to put the motor trans in and then put the body on. We will have to notch the firewall a little bit for the small block Chevy. So there'll be a bit of work into that, but other than that, we're not painting the car. We're not really getting into the car. We're just mounting the body on this chassis, and then he will be good to go. So I'm excited for Ralph because this will be a nice driving hot rod, and it's gonna have plenty of power with this motor in it. Way more power than you need for an old 30s car, but he'll have a lot of fun with it. So Matt has got himself some formal training. He learned from some of the best. George Barris, Von Dutch,
Chip Boos. Oh yeah.
So Matt's been doing his best to just do all the things that some of the greats have taught him.
Sometimes you get runs, and sometimes they're still sticky, and sometimes they'll just keep going on forever and ever and ever.
This is the thing that you will never see.
You never see that.
This goes behind the crank pulley, in between the harmonic balancer and the crank pulley. So you don't see any of this.
So you runs.
You might see a little bit of the side
once in a while, but
the good thing is the only thing that you happen to put a run in.
The one thing that didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean the back looks really good. Sweet.
Be proud.
Doing everything with a.
Absolutely hate. I put all those bell housings on with this too, just to snuggle down. And then I go use this. He's like, get the right tool. And I'm like, but this is every tool. This is every bolt.
That's all of them?
Yeah. See, there's like a 24. Look, we got like 14. Got a 10. Got an 8.
Awesome. This looks really great.
Look at the Cerakote, is the same color
as the Steelite. Yeah, so let's just Steelite on the transmission and Cerakote on the manifolds.
I think we should have painted the oil filter, but
your outfit doesn't match the engine anymore.
Yeah.
We can put a different oil filter on it.
Oh, Matt Brown can paint it.
The Napa Gold ones are black. You can take the sticker off of them.
Nothing better than AC
yeah,
double.
they're wicks.
There we go. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. And then we're waiting for some.
That's a weird looking carburetor.
I'm just realizing now that carburetor is on backwards. It's supposed to be the other way.
What, when, who, what?
The carburetor that's on it looks a little funky.
Yeah, I guess.
Pivot? What size is Pivot? That's a Holly 25.
No, it's not a Holly. Holly doesn't make blue carburetors.
That carburetor matches the oil filter.
Yeah, it does.
It also matches your well.
It does not.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't.
I need to wash this thing. This has only been like 4 days.
That's pretty bad.
Well, I did take the I took the gas tank out of my Volvo. That was
in that. Let me wear the brightest color hoodie I have.
Yeah, this thing's pretty nice.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. So we have some hardware that we got to put in, and it's gonna look awesome. And then we got to get sparkle wires, which we don't have. Old ones, braided, like they look like they're cloth.
Sparkle leaders, lightning whirler, bring the thunder.
Don't hurt your back. Jesus.
Lift them out, buddy. Take it out. What are you doing? Getting heavy?